Hi, hello, welcome to the podcast. It's freaking directly to you, episode 200 and something. I'm not sure because every episode blew up, and this one might blow up. The people that are currently here, you guys saw it, and I'm AJ. I do the podcast directly to you. I'm from Redirect. I'm joined by Parker. He also does the podcast. He's also from Redirect. You can follow us on Watch Redirect on all the things. We don't say that enough. Twitter, if it exists still. I made a Redirect hive because apparently that's where the video game influencer people are going. And I made a hive for me, a hive for Redirect. So it's on you to make you the hive.
Me? But I already technically made one, but I have done absolutely nothing with it.
Neither have I.
Now nobody else can be Parker Deal on there. That's the goal.
You can also support the other stuff we do on youtube.com/watchredirect or twitch.tv/watchredirect by giving $4.99. It doesn't even got to be yours. It can be from Jeffy Bezos, man. You could take it right out of his pocket. And all you got to do, if you have Amazon Prime, you link it to your Twitch account, you get a Prime Gaming sub. All you got to do is remember to renew it because it doesn't renew itself. That's the labor that you have to do for Jeff Bezos because he don't do nothing for free. In exchange for that, you get loyalty badges, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get access to on Discord, you get to play games with us, and friggin' listen to this show when we record it, sometimes exclusively. Sometimes you're the only person that will ever hear the show that we record, and nobody else will ever hear it because things blow up for no reason. But anyways... we're gonna freaking talk about the Pokemons, dude. We're here, we're doing it.
Last week we talked all about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Well, so you talked all about Pokemon. I asked lots of questions.
Yes.
And those impressions are lost forever. Only basically RP and Inda, who are listening right now. I think y'all were basically the only people who will have heard those thoughts. But I mean, I'm sure a lot of them will just come back around at this point. But now I've played some of it.
Which is good.
A tiny little bit. But some of it.
How far? What did you do?
Not very. I haven't made it to the school yet. So
okay. So
not far. But
nothing.
I mean pretty much. But have gotten like a little bit of the idea of the loop and stuff like that so far. But like very
I have done literally, I mean not literally, because there's a lot of post game. I've done literally all the things. Like I did all the main story. I did all the post game stuff. I completed my Pokedex. Now it's just the as far as like people that play TM Pokemon. Now it's just that stuff. It's like doing raids so I can get good Pokemon, so that I can do higher level raids, so I can get better Pokemon, so I can build a team, so I can and shiny hunting and all that good stuff. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't do we want to like kind of
let's talk about the news bit first, I guess.
Okay. You're talking about the sales that we're talking about.
That's the one. That's the news bit. Yeah. Long story short, Pokemon Scarlet Violet is now the fastest selling games in Nintendo history, and also in I guess I don't know what technically holds the record, but it's the fastest in console exclusive history. So it could be like, GTA 5 or something like that, or GTA 5.
GTA 5? I don't think GTA 5 counts for that, does it?
No, exactly right. So I'm saying like of the things that are past it. That maybe.
So better. It's selling faster than Animal Crossing, basically. Yes, is what that means.
Because I think that held the last record. Selling game of all time. I'm just gonna look that up. Fastest selling video game of all time. I'll do that specifically. 10 fastest selling games of all time. Oh my goodness. GTA 5. Yeah, sure enough. Huh. And then Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty, Diablo, Pokemon X and Y. Oh, this is an old list.
Wow.
If Pokemon X and Y is the one on here, then this is from No,
what's the number? Hold on. Pokemon. This is a different thing. This is the Switch. Hey, if you didn't know, you could have got Switch Online icons for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet through the Nintendo Switch Online thing. I think they're going now though. So, rip. The number is 10 million copies in 3 days.
Yep. It is funny that like it came just right after the news of God of War selling 5.1 million copies in a week. And
Oof.
the funny
Yeah.
little like tidbit of that too is that game came out on a Wednesday. So
Mhm.
like it had an extra 2 days, which I mean, like no
Right.
shade on God of War. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't care. But it's just funny
It's
that it's like,
insane, dude. And like I saw you mention this, like, because,
mm-hmm,
like, of course, people are going to try to bring that up as
right,
like a
yeah,
disclaimer of like, there's two of them. Is there?
mm-hmm.
Is there actually two of them? You know, like
Yeah,
that,
right.
like the extreme hardcore are going to buy both copies,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd be shocked if that accounts for more than 100,000 copies right now.
Yeah.
I would be
I mean,
shocked.
I think what it ends up doing is like, I mean, it has an effect, but the effect is that instead of Ashley and like me and Ashley getting the same copy and
You get
sharing the
different
same
ones,
copy,
right?
we each get a copy, but we are each going to be playing it too. So, it's more like
See the thing,
probably other games
yeah,
sell
I wouldn't
fewer
even,
copies because of that, not
I
Pokemon
wouldn't.
sells more.
I wouldn't even say that because, like, in this scenario, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
and Ashley wanted to play the game, Pokemon specifically, and they had one version of the game, you guys
Yeah.
couldn't do anything together if you only had one copy of the game. So
Yeah,
you would
right,
have to
exactly.
buy two copies. It just would be rather than them tracking sales for Pokemon in this theoretical
Mm-hmm.
society that everybody paints with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Instead of it being 5 million people having Violet and then 5 million people having Scarlet, I mean, having Scarlet,
Mm-hmm.
it's 10 million people all having the same game.
Yeah.
And
Which I mean, like, Legends Arceus being because that one was only single player,
Mhm.
I was able to just put my Switch in offline mode and she was
Right.
able to play on her account and stuff like that. But yeah, this one, whether it was just like Pokemon Scarlet Violet, whatever, and it's just like one game, we'd still have to buy, like you were saying, two separate copies to both be able to play at the same time because that's the goal. Like that's the reason that we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah,
So,
that's the whole point of like this game specific. That was the whole selling point. Like their whole
yeah.
marketing campaign was, yo, you can play with 3 other humans at the same time. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that with just one copy of the game. And like, yeah, there's like differences in terms of like the theming of the story, sort of.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have Violet, so your professor is a guy, and I have Scarlet, so the professor is a girl, and she's from the past, and he's from the future. Like
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing, like that separation exists, but it's not a big enough one where normal humans are going to
Yeah.
be like, "Yo, I need to play both of these,"
Yeah. I think honestly that like the multiplayer thing is the biggest part of it because thinking about games like because yeah, the thing I said in the Twitter post too was like how many other games have had multiple versions
Mhm.
to even a fraction of the success of Pokemon or
Right.
whatever. But on the flip side, Call of Duty, like
Mhm.
if there's not, I mean, I don't know, is there split screen on any Call of Duties these days?
There's split screen
Maybe.
now, but it's
Okay.
so if you want to play, I think if you want to play online split screen,
Hmm.
it's like you can only do two people. No, I think you could do two people for certain modes. Like you could do two people on one
Gotcha.
screen for zombies.
Hmm.
But if you want to play zombies with more than two people, even if they're in the same house, you have to do system
Hmm.
like you basically have to do online.
Right. So like
With
at
two
that point,
people
I
on
mean,
one and
people
two on
are,
another.
with the exception of pretty specific use cases, I guess, like people are probably still going to be buying their own individual copies of the game
Mhm.
for the reasons that they can all play together. Even like siblings within a household will probably have their own copy on
Or
their own
even
console.
the thing is like it's not even necessarily playing together for
Hmm.
like Pokemon. Like that's a big part of it, sure,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of the game removed from like specifically actively playing with another person that you
Hmm.
can't do if you're not connected to the internet.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like, nah, like
Yeah.
you just kind of gotta. It's like if you want to do Terra raid battles
Hmm.
and you don't have anybody in your house that is doing them,
Hmm.
you can't do
Yeah.
it at all. And I don't even, you can't even
You
do
can't do
local
them
you
even
can't
with
do
NPCs or anything.
Well, you can, but you're gonna lose. Like unless you're like OD
Yeah.
leveled, like you're going to and have the perfect, depending on what the level is. Granted,
Right.
if you're a lower level, their level relative to you they'll body you. Like we'll get into that, but yeah, like you wouldn't be able to play the game to the same degree that people that connect to the internet can. Like the amount of raids that you can find are limited, the types of raids that you find are limited compared to when you could just look on the internet and say, oh, these people have entirely different raids populating than I do, I'm going to join this one. Oh, this raid on the bulletin board, I've never seen this before, I'm going to join that, you know. Or even the like Pokemon community thing that like was like, it's like an unintentional, like Pokemon company didn't actively intend this, but like they get together and they make trade codes basically where they're like, oh, you need a foreign Ditto so you can do the Masuda method with breeding. Enter this specific code. You need a Quaxley, enter this specific code.
Right, yeah.
That's other stuff that you can't do if the way you're playing it is one person being in airplane mode, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, so it's great. I mean, yeah, it's selling great. It's funny too that it's selling so well just amid the controversy and all that stuff, which is fun. I mean, again, I haven't played nearly long enough to know, like I've seen, I mean, you know, frame dips and that kind of stuff, but haven't run into anything major in the, you know, probably hour and a bit that I've gotten to play of it. And so, you know, you would have dealt with a lot more of that comparatively, but yeah, it's just, it is just funny that like with all that stuff going on, it just is literally the best selling.
Yeah, because the internet thinks that their feelings matter more than the world. And they think that they represent the world, where it's like, nah, you like they find like things to hyperfixate on. Where it's like the narrative since Sword and Shield, because for whatever reason, since Pokemon Let's Go, for whatever reason, people thought, oh, Pokemon's on a console now, it will now be Breath of the Wild immediately.
Right,
despite the fact that this developer has been developing video games on exclusively 480i consoles since their inception at most. Like they started on 144p, and even that was buggy. You know, we're expecting them to go from that to freaking Nintendo EPD, you know, like come on, like Rockstar, like are you kidding me?
I will say, I mean, there is something to be said for like it is obvious that, you know, they had to meet this deadline and they were just like, we'll get it out. And like, you know, I still wish that they would buy themselves a year at some point, like plan way ahead and just put out another. I mean, this year could have easily been that year. They just bought themselves anyway, you know.
I agree with that, because I mean I've been screaming that from the rooftops, but I don't necessarily think that this is that. Like I don't think that the game is having problems exclusively because they rushed it. I think genuinely that they are not great developers,
right?
Like on a technical end, they're not good at that. It doesn't matter how much time you give them, they will do it poorly. Like, and some things they did actually get right and better than a lot of other developers do. Like the online, it's crazy good. Like given like what you're doing and how it handles it, it is very good. I think there's definitely not enough people that are talking about that, because again,
when you say the online, you mean the like joining somebody else's world?
I mean online in general, but yeah, like joining people's world, the consistency of the world, how it handles things like when communication errors do happen. Like say you're initiating a code with somebody that's in the same world. If there's a communication error with that trade, the world still remains, and you just press trade again, and then it trades. I've never had that experience in any other game that I've played. I'll say that much. The problems with the game are the same problems that every other Pokemon game since they entered 3D has had.
Yeah.
Like the 3DS Pokemon games have these problems. It's just exaggerated a little bit because it's the first time they made a freaking fully open world one, and it's on a console that's 1080p versus a console that's 480i. So it's like, like I'm sure they'll do the same thing that they did with Sword and Shield, and as time goes on, they'll patch it and it'll improve. It won't be perfect, which is another like that's another reason why I don't think that them having the additional time for bug fixes would make the game run perfectly, because it's a it's a philosophical thing. Like I think for them to ship a game that is like the perfect Pokemon game, or even the perfect running version of this game that we have currently, they would have to care enough to invest their time in doing those things. I don't think they do. And I think that if we gave them more time, they would be like, oh, okay, let's add some more, animations to home. Maybe let's think of some new attacks to do. They're not thinking about the freaking the stability or the lighting, that stuff, I think, gets addressed because they come out with the game and they see people being like, yo, we want this, and they're like, all right, I guess if you guys didn't want this freaking Pikachu animation, we'll do a lighting bug fix, I guess. It's just like people not understanding how game development works. Like it's not a turn-based RPG, or not even that. It's not like Cookie Clicker. It's not okay. If you spend enough time chipping away at this thing, it's going to turn out exactly the way that the last one turned out. Elden Ring was released. That's an RPG game, and it turned out like this because they spent X amount of time on it, and that's the way it works. It's like, no, these are people that all have priorities, things that they want to do in their video game. So those are the things that they're going to try to get right. From what I've played, it seems like their priority was the Union Circle stuff, was like the amount of Pokemon and like how unique they are, and like those things are the things that they the world building. It seems like, granted, it's still a video game story. They cared a lot more about the story in this game,
right?
The technical stuff,
I think
it doesn't seem like they cared as much.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think it would be great to have, like they have such a small team for such a big game
property.
And property, everything. It'd be great for them to hire more people and have more resources to be able to care about that kind of thing. But like you said, as far as like having more time, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be focused on those things. I mean, for all we know, it's possible that would have been something that they cared about, but also very much possible that it wasn't. But like, for sure, there's like songs that I've worked on where with more time, I would just end up like putting in more minutia for like how the drums are programmed or something like that, or like this little thing. But then at the end of it, somebody else would listen to it and be like, I mean, but the guitars sound like butts. Like the tone is just awful. But it's like at that point, I didn't even notice it anymore because I was just so used to it, and I was like focused on these other things. But like you just kind of go blind to other stuff. So I'm sure everybody on their team, there's probably an element of like playing through, and it's like you just get used to kind of slow frame rate or something along those lines. I mean, I don't know specifically, but yeah, all that to say, like priorities, definitely are an important thing. So yeah, at this point, where you're at with it, how are you feeling about it? Sounds like pretty good.
I love this video game, and again, I do notice like there's obviously frame dips, and there's like some like bugs that annoyed me. Not enough to be like this game sucks. They should have blah blah blah. But things like sometimes when you battle a Pokemon and the battle ends and you're on an incline, the game's camera like clips through the incline, so like you see like the geometry from under it, and it's like your Pokemon is almost like floating over something that's inside out. There was the first bug that I experienced that actually was a gameplay thing. It wasn't just this distracts me. It took me out. I got into spoilers. This isn't like a crazy story spoiler or anything like that.
Yeah.
But mass outbreaks are back from Pokemon Legends
nice.
Arceus. I
Interesting.
got a Fido outbreak. The Fido outbreak was inside of a mountain. So like I only could interact with like one or two Fido at a time because they would clip through the mountain, but all the rest of them were inside of the mountain.
Oh no.
So it's like, well, this outbreak is a wash. So
Yeah.
and
Oh my goodness.
that was after like over 100 hours of playing this video game. So it's like that is not good. Like it's definitely like
right.
that sucks. But I think that the frequency of people's complaints is way overblown. Like
I mean, also the frequency of it happening in general is going to be higher just because there's 10 million people that are playing this video game.
exactly.
So
and,
you know,
and those are the ones that are going to be like, you know, elevated on social media because nobody's going to post a clip of them just playing the game. And the game's fine. People are going to post a clip of like, yo, I battled this Pokemon, and after I caught it with this specific Pokeball, and it had this much damage, it flew out of the world or something like that, right? Like that's the thing that's going to get the retweets. That's the thing that people are going to like make content around and stuff like that. So that's going to be the going like read on the game, right? I just think that it's just weird to me because it's like I don't remember if this was on the deleted one of the freaking lost episodes of this podcast, but before this game came out, like at first when Sonic Frontiers came out, I was like confused. I was like, I don't understand why there's so many people that like are talking about this game like it's the best game that they've ever played. And then I eventually
you said
came
Sonic
to
or Pokemon?
Sonic Frontiers.
When
Sonic
Sonic came
Frontiers.
out,
Yes,
they were talking about
when
Sonic.
Sonic
Okay,
Frontiers,
gotcha.
they were talking about Sonic Frontiers, and this is a game that also is buggy. But from what I've seen, at least, I don't know if this is anecdotal. I don't know if this was your experience, if you're playing the game and you love the game and it's your game of the year or whatever. But from what I've seen, all the bugs I've seen are Sonic clipping through the world and dying, you know? Like Sonic fighting a boss and not doing any damage. He's going through the boss kills him and he dies, right? Those are bugs that I would be tight at. I would be like Ratchet and Clank. I played Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 5. I clipped through the world my first 10 minutes of playing the game and died. And then I played 10, 15 more minutes and died again the same way. And not because I jumped on something wrong. I literally jumped like from one platform to the middle of another platform and fell through the world and lost my life for it. Right. So it like confuses me that a lot of the people that I've seen say like, this is the game of the year. I love this game. Are the same people that I see complaining about the glitches. And I've even seen these people post themselves experiencing these glitches. So it's not a Pokemon thing. It's not like maybe people like or a Pokemon thing regarding me. Like maybe a lot of these people that are talking about the bugs in Scarlet and Violet experience the outbreak glitch that I experienced way earlier in the game, or way more often than I do, right? Maybe that's the case, but it doesn't. That doesn't seem to be the case because I see a replay from them of them playing Sonic and falling through the world and dying, but I don't see any like of their own footage of Pokemon. It's just them quote retweeting other people saying like the game broke or whatever. That much I don't understand. The game's glitchy and it needs to be fixed, but I think that the glitches do not detract from the core of the game. I think the core of the game is very strong.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of those things where like being hypocritical about it is lame, but at the same time, I'm totally fine. Like if I'm fine with anybody feeling the same way about Sonic as you know others do about Pokemon, where it's like it's glitchy, but like I love the game that's there, so like I can get past it. I've even like I saw somebody say like I finally get how people were saying good things about Cyberpunk when it came out, because like, you know, all right, they could just see past all the bugs and all the jank stuff or whatever, and if they really clicked with the core of the game, then cool, you know. But again, I think you just can't then be hypocritical about picking and choosing which ones.
The specific thing that doesn't make sense to me, because again, like I eventually, even before Scarlet and Violet came out, I eventually came to the conclusion that I was like, Sonic Frontiers is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like I loved that game because it was a glimpse of what I could see Pokemon being once they nailed the formula. But removed from that, I'm now on the whenever we get around to talking about Game of the Year stuff, like the Pokemon Legends Arceus is not even anywhere close to my Game of the Year, because I think ultimately, like, the game is not a good game. Like, it was a really fun tech demo, but it's not a good game.
Which is interesting, because I'll report back when I've played more of this game. But there's already a couple of things that I feel like I miss from Legends Arceus that, I'll just be curious to see how much they're replaced or replicated or whatever versus not. And also, but like the two games were being created at the same time. So there's just some stuff that's at the core of one game and at the core of the other that like aren't in each other's game, but hopefully in the next game, whenever that comes out in 3 years or something, Gen 10 will have the best of both worlds and all that.
I don't even necessarily think it'll take that long.
I mean, it could be in a remake.
Depending on how they handle, like with the DLC or whatever they do. But I say that to say I'm able to remove myself from the fact that I loved Arceus because I'm a Pokemon fan, and I can see the what it can do to contribute to the series down the line. The game itself, not great. But the potential for the game, great. I see a lot of people talking about Sonic Frontiers that way. So I get it. I get why people like Sonic Frontiers. That makes sense to me. What I don't get is the hypocrisy, specifically with the fact that like it'll be people that are complaining about other people complaining about them complaining about Pokemon, where they'll like the immediate response to the people that are enjoying the game is like, they don't bother me. The bugs don't bother me. And they're like, how don't they bother you? The game runs at X amount of frames. Look at this Digital Foundry video that I just watched. They talked about frame tracing. I mean, frame pacing, like they talked about ambient occlusion, all these other terms that me, person complaining about, would never know about if I didn't hear it in this video. Like they say all that stuff, but with Sonic, it's like, nah, that didn't bother me. Like, how can you have the same response that you're mad at other people for saying, as if they're blind and stupid, but your game does the same thing and you die for it? Like, what? I don't get it. It doesn't compute. But yeah, no, I think that's dumb. That said, let's talk about the core of the video game. Let's talk about what it does when it works. So, I mean, I guess we can do it like we did last time, where it's like like I'll start talking, and if you have any other questions, feel free. I
have one question actually that I just haven't had the opportunity to see how it works. How do exclusives work when you're like, if I'm in Ashley's world and she's got Violet and I've got Scarlet, and she sees a Cereal Edge on her screen, is it also a Cereal Edge on my screen, or is it an Amarouche?
Yes, but caveat. Okay, so for the most part, when you're in the same world as somebody that has a different version of the game for you, everybody's exclusives appear in the video game, except for, ironically enough, Cereal Edge and Amarouche, because as far as I know, I haven't seen them. You can't find them in the wild. You find
are they like story Pokemon?
Question mark. You find their pre-evolution in the world, and their pre-evolution is the same Pokemon. They have items that evolve them, and how you get the item is an NPC in both games, but it's a different NPC, and they give you different items. If you're in the same world and you play Scarlet, you will only see the NPC, or only be able to like interact with. The NPC might exist in both games, but they just don't talk to you the same. But you can only interact with the one that you can interact with anyway. So the only way that you can get this item or the Pokemon is by trading. But every other exclusive you can catch in the video game, and just like Sword and Shield, you can get raids from other versions too. Like
Gotcha.
even if you're not in the same world, like I think it was Shelgon, Bagon's second evolution.
Yeah.
I got him through a random raid. So you can still get version exclusives online that way too. But for whatever reason, the trade evolutions are truly exclusive.
Yeah. Interesting.
Or
Can you-
not trade evolutions. They're items, but you have to trade for the item to get the item, and you use the item, and then
Can you breed those then? Like, how can you get another Serial Edge?
What do you
Can
mean?
you just get the item again?
Another of the pre-evolution? So you
can find
you can find them in the wild. So the way that you get it's an item that this NPC will infinitely give you, but they give it to you in exchange for different Pokemon. So in Scarlet, you got to give them, I think it's 10 Bronzor something body parts of some sort. And then in Violet, it's Sinistea. It's
Gotcha.
a chip of its cup or something.
Yeah.
You got to give a certain amount of those. I don't have Violet, so I don't know off the top of my head even a guess for how many you need. But that's just the Let's Go feature. You see a bunch of Sinistea, you throw your Pokemon out, you get the item. It doesn't really take that long in my experience. So yeah, that'll
be interesting because I really would like a Serial Edge, and I was gonna mostly try to get me and Ashley to trade and stuff, but I feel like we'll see if she'll want to put in all the effort to getting one of those and doing that, or maybe I'll just play her game for a minute and do that. But we'll find out. But otherwise, I can just do trade.
I can literally trade it to you right now.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
But cool. No, I mean that's the first one I think for me. So yeah, I mean some other stuff. So as far as I've played, like I said, I haven't gotten to I'm like right outside of where this school is. I've just been wandering around and catching all the Pokemon that I found. I've run into a couple exclusives. I think not exclusives. Just Gen 9 new Pokemon. Only one or two of which I'd never seen. I think three of which I'd never seen before. I guess I won't say them just for spoilers for other people still. But so far I like them. They're pretty cool. And I'm happy about those. I don't feel like I'm great at the let's go mechanic just yet, in that my Pokemon aren't like particularly strong, and it seems like type advantage is a very specific thing to do with that.
Unless you're like it's a battle, if the Pokemon can steamroll it regardless of type, because of its level, it will be able to do that. So like in the early game, it is way more of a thing of like, I'm not gonna let's go with this Pokemon. He might just die. So I'm going to avoid that.
So I've definitely thrown out Pokemon and then pulled it back real fast because sure, there's a water type Pokemon that my grass type can beat real quick, but then right next to it's a Lechonk just hanging out, that will bring its health down to halfway or something. So but yeah, I like all that. I played in Ashley's World a little bit, and I think just in general, the whole getting to play in the same world as somebody else is pretty neat. We haven't really had a situation of oh, look, cool, there's this rare Pokemon over here yet much, but I'm sure that'll happen.
I played pretty much, for the most part, I played with the same group of people. For most of the time that I was playing it, because it was literally a thing of me, Alec, Trev, Youth, and in Alec and Trev's Discord or the redirect Discord, depending on the day. It would be we would get up. So day one, me and Trev and Alec got up at freaking 5 a.m. my time to play the New Zealand version of the video game, and I streamed that. And every day after that, it would just be whenever I woke up, people were in the Discord. So I was just all right, Ling, you ready? And I'm going to the Discord. And then we would play the game. We either get in each other's world, or we would just continue to do the thing that we're doing. Because the only, I wouldn't say negative, but there are reasons to not. While you're doing something. Because, I still don't know exactly what the logic is or how it works or where it chooses to take you. But when you start a world, you can do it from anywhere, which we played a decent amount of the game not knowing that. Like we thought that you had to specifically go to a Pokemon Center, but you don't have to. Like it warps you somewhere. Like I can be on the other side of the map from everybody else. I don't know what the logic is there, like who it chooses to warp you closest to, because for a lot of the game it would just warp us to the school, and I'm like we're just like, why? But I didn't do any legwork on figuring out like where it warps you and why. So people probably know that it's probably like an existing like logic thing that I just didn't pay attention to. But for the most part, we played the entire game like that, and it would be youth who never played a Pokemon game in her life. She's playing through the game, and it'll be like, oh, what's this type? What does this Pokemon lose to? That sort of thing. Or there's a part of the game that's a later part of the game. There's a cave, and you got to go through the cave a particular way. And we didn't know how to go, or I didn't know. And this was like a domino effect. Like this happened more than once. I didn't know how to do it. So I think it was Trev. Trev went to the other side of the cave and then backtracked through the cave to physically meet me there and then show me how to get to the other side of the cave. So that is a huge, like, good,
that's nice.
Like really cool thing about like physically being in the same world. You can like physically see people like catch Pokemon. The only thing that like I'm kind of bummed about is like I don't know if they mean to do it or not. Like cause like the stuff renders in real time. So like well I'll get to this later because this isn't related. But we know everything renders in real time. Trev or somebody, I think it was Trev, because me and Trev were testing it, was doing a gym battle. And I wanted to see if I could see him do the gym battle. So I went to the place that he was at, and I couldn't see him do the gym battle, but he could see me physically, like not my entire model. He could see a Pokeball floating. So like I would walk through like the cutscene of like the character, like the gym leader being like, "You beat me, that sucks," and like freaking float across her face as a Pokeball. So I'm like, I don't know if this is just like completely something that you shouldn't be able to do, because I don't see any indication of him, or if it's that they didn't fully like do it, like if he should be able to see me, like, or and if that is a bug, I don't know. I would assume, because it's just a Pokeball, that the bug is that you can see the Pokeball. But you can see it.
That seems weird.
Because it does, like when you go into a gym battle, it does seem like it puts you in your own like secluded world within the world, right?
Could you challenge that gym leader?
Yes.
That's
that's the other thing about it. You can literally do any and everything while everybody else is doing any and everything. The game doesn't it doesn't like perform any differently. There's no lag when anybody's starting a gym. It's just like you could literally do whatever you want, and I'll be none the wiser unless you told me. Which is a cool thing.
I see the benefit to that in some ways, but it's like it's kind of a give and take, because like I don't know. I almost not to whatever. I almost would like a toggle for that kind of a thing, where like
what do you mean?
I would it would be interesting to have the
if you could like fully see the thing, but like you'd have to like, this might make the game run weird, like
run weird, or just like be a slower paced experience for you, even performance aside. Just like that means that like when a gym's happening, if you go into that gym place, then like now you're a spectator and you're just watching it, and like that kind of a thing. Like you won't have as much autonomy, and you can leave it if you want to, but like maybe you have control of your own camera to be able to see what's happening, but then that's it. Otherwise you can't like interact with things, but you could leave if you want. Like I think that could be neat, because that
is part of it. Like I don't even entirely think that it is a technical thing. It could just literally be in the like theoretical world where you want to challenge the same gym leader at the same time,
Right. Exactly.
they want you to be able to do that. So
Yeah,
it's
'cause
like
I
your
could see
gym
it on
battle
the
is
flip
in
side.
your. Mhm. What you
Yeah, I
saying?
could see some siblings or something like that not want to have to wait for each other and be in each
Hmm.
other's world, but like, I'm going to take on this gym leader. I'm going to take on this gym leader. And then,
Right.
in that case, that's a beneficial feature.
Hmm.
So, I could see benefit to either side. But I do think that the idea of like traveling the
Watching each
world
other, yeah.
together and stuff is just kind of fun,
Yeah,
but
because and you can literally see that when it's anything that's in the open world. Like you can watch other
mhm,
people battle trainers in the overworld. You can watch other trainers battle and catch wild Pokemon. But for
mhm,
the NPC stuff, like the Titan stuff, the Team Star stuff, and the gym leader stuff, you can't
mhm,
physically watch that in your
yeah.
world, which is unfortunate. But I'm
Mhm.
just impressed that it works because going
Yeah,
into the
exactly.
game, every time we talked about the game, we're like, how's that going to work?
Mhm.
Like, is it going to give me my save? Am I going to have to play the game specifically by
Yep.
myself to progress? Am I going to have to do it over again if I do it in somebody else's world? It has
Mhm.
all that stuff figured out. All that
I
stuff
think
works
this is the
seamlessly.
right baseline to start with,
Right.
and then add in back from the other direction or something like that.
Yeah.
I am curious too, or so like one of the things that I mentioned I missed some things from Legends Arceus. One of those is stuff like double battles just happening with overworld Pokemon
Hmm.
because there's two Shinxes that are both trying to attack me. You throw out a Pokeball, and then suddenly you're fighting both of them. But like if there's two Lechonks next to each other, you throw out a Pokeball, you're
The
only fighting
trunk
one
just
of them.
watches. Yeah,
It
he just
just
watches.
exactly, yeah.
It's
Which
like
is
a
fine.
kung
But I
fu
think
movie. It's like it's this one's turn
right,
to fight. I'm not going to get in that fight, but once you're done, I'm fighting.
that's right.
Um, which yeah, I agree, but at the same time, I think Legends Arceus is too much. Like
Hmm.
I think the fact that like you can get attacked by 6 Pokemon at once is like it
Yeah,
just
right.
gets annoying. Like it's
Yeah.
not even like a challenge thing because it's just like, all right, here's 8 versus my 1, like
Yeah.
that at a certain point it's just annoying. Even
Hmm.
if you steamroll all 8 of those Pokemon, it's still mad annoying because you gotta individually be like, all right, attack that one
Hmm.
and then attack that
Yeah.
one.
Which, like,
Um
again, I think thematically is fun to some degree, but yeah, is there's probably a good middle ground there. That like there's a secret threshold of like 4 or something or whatever. But I think where it would be fun in terms of the multiplayer stuff is if there's maybe the threshold is higher if there's multiplayer going on, because then like suddenly if 8 Growliths attack you or something, then you could be like, this is really annoying. Can you help me deal with this? And then I'll just
mhm,
walk over and just
right.
like I'll jump in the fight and then something like that. So like that'd be a fun way to kind of mesh what already exists in Arceus and what already
Yeah,
exists
if
in
they
this
did,
game.
I think if they
Kind of move
did
forward.
that, it would have to, in my opinion, it would have to be like an auto battle thing. Personally, like
Mm-hmm.
either they go full in one direction and it's like, okay, 8 Pokemon are attacking you, you don't
Right.
have to do anything, just hope your Pokemon's stronger, or they go
Yeah.
full in the other direction and they actually make fighting them fun.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
fighting 8
Exactly.
enemies in a Mario game is not tedious at all. It's just like you're just
Hmm.
jumping on people and fighting them or whatever. But in Pokemon, it's like or any RPG, it's like, okay, now select this one. All
Right.
right. Or at to specifically have a spread attack, and hopefully that spread attack doesn't hit my partner. And
Hmm.
eh.
Yeah.
um,
Right. Exactly.
so I agree, but I think that Arceus is too far. Like I would be down for
Hmm.
a happy medium. Like 2
Yeah.
Pokemon can attack, or even if it was a thing where it's like at max 6 Pokemon can attack you, and you can
Hmm.
also choose 6 Pokemon. Like
Yeah.
6v1, in my
Hmm.
opinion, it's not fun. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
um,
because that's true. Even in Arceus, you couldn't have double battles from your own side. Like I don't think
mhm.
there was a single time that you had 2 Pokemon out on the field. Um, but the but wild Pokemon could have as many as they want, basically.
Right.
So something to even the odds, I feel like would be fun there.
Yeah, even if it was what you were talking about, where it's like, okay, there's 3 Pokemon here or 4 Pokemon here. I have 3 other friends. Can they all use their Pokemon? Then I would be down for 4 Pokemon be able to attack me at once, even if they can attack me at once. And it's not a thing that's like, you're a minor, you need an adult here to sign this this thing. You know, it's like it doesn't stop the battle from happening, but it's like, yo, I need y'all to stop what you're doing and fly over here. I am being ambushed, and then they come over and they help me out. I would be down for that. But yeah, I
real quick question from Inda asked, how do you get the starters from the other games without someone restarting the game 3 times?
Breeding.
Yeah. Just have somebody else breed, like you breed your starter, trade it with people who are bringing their starters.
Yep.
How far is it into the game before you can get to breeding?
It depends. If you have a female starter, significantly faster than everybody else. But if you don't, you got to wait for a Ditto.
True. Yeah, makes sense. I didn't pay attention to whether I have a female starter or not.
The odds are you probably don't, because it's like an 11.5% chance or something like that. But yeah, that's why me and Trev were like, nah. We're just gonna do it.
Started 3 times.
Yeah, we started, and Mega Man did it too. We were started like 4 times.
Per person. Yeah.
Yes. But now you got the starters out the wazoo. I got, because the other thing that, or another thing. I mean, I have extras. Nice. Literally already sitting in the box for some. Not all, but some for sure. Breeding is super fast and straightforward.
Because picnics, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you do it?
The only thing about breeding that's like kind of weird is you can do the picnic with like all your Pokemon, and sometimes you'll just get, or a lot of times you'll get eggs that you don't specifically want because it's open season. It's like there's this one Ditto, and then there's all these other Pokemon that could potentially breed with the Ditto. So like when you get eggs, it's random eggs. So you have to be like, all right, I just want this egg, so I'm going to take Ditto out and this Pokemon out, and then I'm going to start a picnic. And sometimes, I don't know what causes it. I mean, the same thing happens in older Pokemon games. It's just different, sort of. Like sometimes they just take forever to breed. It's like, yo, like what the heck? And like, I don't get the logic behind it, and I don't mean like the logic in terms of their decision, but the logic in terms of like how it works. Because sometimes I'll like freaking be in a picnic with a Pokemon for like 20 minutes and get 1 egg, and then other times I'll be in a picnic with a Pokemon for like 5 minutes and get like 6, because like you can check the basket and multiple eggs will show up in there. It's not like the daycare where you have to go to the daycare man and you're like, yo, where my egg at? And you're like, yo, I got 1 egg, and then you're like, bet, and then you gotta wait for the next egg. They can just keep making eggs. I don't know if there's a limit. I didn't run into it, if there is one. But you just go to the basket and you can just keep picking them up. But the thing that I don't like about that, which spoilers for content, I'm working on several videos. I do want to make a video, multiple videos of things that I do like and things that I don't like, and certain things that I would do differently. Kind of like a light version of what I want to do for Pokemon overall. Like just if I had full control over a Pokemon game, I want to do for, this is how I would make this game specifically better, within the scope of this game specifically. And also just pure, I like this part about this game a lot. There's going to be a lot of different Pokemon videos. I'm writing a lot of different Pokemon videos. But I don't even remember what I was talking about with this thing.
Multiple eggs, sometimes multiple eggs.
Oh, I don't like the fact that you can't like say, I don't want this egg. Like I want this 1 egg. I don't want this one, but my friend can have it. If you say, no, I don't want this egg, they send it to the academy, and that's cringe. Like, just let me say no, but my friend can have it. And I think
can you not take it, and then would you have to trade it to your friend or something? I
mean, yeah, but also I don't remember if, I think the eggs that pop up are like they're specific to you, and I think I think that's because of egg power, but even with egg power, that's kind of weird. Unless you like made a sandwich to get egg power. when your friend wasn't in the world or they weren't part of the picnic, so they don't have egg power, so their eggs show up slower. So they can still get eggs from your Pokemon. So like if I had a Ditto or whatever and you had a starter but I didn't have that starter, you can make an egg and we will individually get our own eggs in the basket for that set of Pokemon. But I don't know if you could, like, if I have an egg, that definitely means that you have an egg and vice versa, you know. That I didn't do enough testing. I'm not really in the breeding phase because I don't have a foreign Ditto, and I just feel like that's wasted because
what's different or better about a foreign Ditto?
So there's the Masuda method, which is if you have a Ditto that's a different region than your Ditto, it has a higher shiny chance. It's like double. So like top,
is that on purpose or is that a glitch?
Yes, it's on purpose. That's why it's called the Masuda method, because Masuda put it in. As like a way to encourage people to trade with other people around the world.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the thing. Any other questions, or should I just talk about general stuff again?
I mean, you can talk about general stuff again. I think my last thought is, it'll be interesting going through the game. What things I wish were here from Legends Arceus and which things I think were better. Right now, my impression overall is that this game does a better job of like the foundational elements and kind of like the loop in that regard, and like it being thought through holistically from what it seems like. And the one thing that I think that Arceus did better, from what I can tell, is maybe just like taking the time to, or not taking the time to, but just like allowing itself to rethink things that have kind of been, I don't know, our norms at this point, I suppose. And so I'll be really interested just to see in the future what things from that are able to, you know, to influence there. But also, I guess the other thing of like the world and like, I don't know the best way to phrase this, but the idea, you know, like going back to the multiple Pokemon fighting you kind of thing, the idea of like more kind of like Breath of the Wild, of like what you think will probably happen is a little bit more likely to happen in Arceus, as where it's like, oh, there's 3 Pokemon there attacking me, and I throw out my Pokemon, and now all 3 Pokemon are still attacking me. Like that's the more logical thing that'll happen. You know, within reason, as opposed to,
but at the same time, kind of not. Like that's the more logical thing that would happen in our world, because animals are animals, but Pokemon are Pokemon, and they're sentient. So like if they see people fighting a Pokemon, I don't know if all of their first instinct would be, I'm jumping into this fight.
Right. Yeah.
I think a lot of their instinct would be like, all right, to have a fair fight. you know. So it doesn't.
I guess more like just in general. Like I'm thinking for Ashley, who had you know never played a Pokemon game at all. There were a lot of things in Legends Arceus that when she was playing, she's like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And there's already more things that she's been like, why is it like that in this game? Which I think it's things that are like just true to Pokemon as a franchise and all that, and like kind of traditionally the way that those things are. So I'm fine with them. Like I'm not mad about them at all, but it's just interesting to note the difference, and just I'm curious.
I think there's definitely a lot of stuff. I think there's definitely a lot of stuff that they could stand to do that's like that and still stay true to their universe. And Arceus does do a lot more of them, I'd say. But I think even Arceus doesn't make sense in a lot of like that example I talked about when I first started playing the game. The first thing that I tried to do was I saw a berry on the ground and I threw my Pokemon out and saw if they interacted with it. And they did.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So like, and again, like I think that decision is less like the 6 Pokemon and they're like, oh, you're fighting this one Pokemon. All right, bet we'll fight this Pokemon. I don't think they made that decision for the same reason that the intent versus impact wasn't aligned there. Like the reason why they made that decision then is because they're like, this makes our gameplay, like our gameplay
Yeah.
would be very like one note if we didn't do this.
Right, totally.
Whereas now their intent is like, that wouldn't be true, you know, or at least entirely true. So they're like, all right, well, here this is. And also, I think that they're trying to figure out how to balance double battles in the game, because there are double battles,
yeah.
but it's in like very specific places.
Yeah. I mean, that's
or
the other
a
thing is
very
this game
specific
has
place.
to think about balance, whereas Arceus
Right.
just didn't, you know.
Right.
And so that's to its benefit and detriment in some ways, because like that's like there was stuff in Arceus that was just kind of janky, you know, as far as how just how stuff was balanced in general. It just felt like enemies were and wild Pokemon were just stronger for no good reason
Mhm.
than my Pokemon of similar levels or whatever. And so, like balance wise, that wasn't great. But then there was, you know, other things that it was able to do that were technically unbalanced if it was a true like, you know, PvP kind of thing.
Mhm.
But because it was just a PvE game, it doesn't really matter. It's just like you just kind of deal with it accordingly. So this game, you know, because it's a traditional Pokemon game, has to think about all that. And so,
Mhm.
yeah.
The things that I wish were here from Arceus are a lot of like
Mhm.
quality of life things.
Yeah.
Like I do think that they do need to eventually like incorporate fully, because they have the backstrike thing, which is like effectively the same thing. It just takes more steps. But the
Right.
catching Pokemon thing, because it does, like if you get the backstrike, it does increase your catch rate. So
Right.
you can get the backstrike, throw a quick ball, and if you don't catch the Pokemon, the universe hates you. Like that's how good the odds are.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist for every Pokemon, because not every Pokemon can be backstricken like the legendaries and that sort of thing.
Right.
So like that is annoying. The shiny Pokemon thing, like if you find a shiny Pokemon in the overworld, it does part of it where it's like you can see that it's shiny, unlike Sword, but unlike Arceus, which is a thing that it did well, it doesn't have a visual or like, other than the color of the Pokemon, it doesn't have an audio
Right.
or like clearer visual cue.
Right. Yeah.
That I think is an L that they didn't do.
Mhm.
There's like some like button specific things, like being able to switch your Pokemon without going to your party, like that sort of stuff. Like that's a quality of life thing that they definitely could incorporate with Pokemon, and it still be true to what
The
Pokemon
learning
is.
moves thing is one that's like,
That's
which is a
there.
nice
That
little
is there.
quality.
That's there.
Well,
That is
so
there.
you can relearn moves, but it's just the like, you want to learn this move right
That's
now,
still
or like,
there. That's still there. You can remove that. You go
as a
into
feature, just
Yes, you go into the
okay, that's
options,
nice.
and then it
Well,
gives
yeah.
you the option to choose to turn that off. The only time that the game will ask you, like, do you want to learn this move? Which I don't remember if this is a thing in Arceus or not, but I feel like it probably is. When you evolve and you have an evolution specific move, like when Charizard evolves into Charizard, he learns Wing Attack or Fly or whatever. That dialogue option will still happen. But say I want to breed a new Pokemon, it's level 1, I want to level it up to 100 before I start teaching it moves. If I have that turned off, it won't ask me at all unless it has an evolution specific move thing. The thing that they did take out though, which is a benefit from Arceus, is the evolution being optional. They did take that out, where you have to like press B every time or whatever. Granted, not every time, because it still does the thing where like it does one level up like animation, and then you're from level 1 to whatever level from the candies. It still does that, and then it'll just like cue the evolution animation when it's done leveling you up. But Arceus, it just didn't do it unless you went to the Pokemon and selected evolve. I do think that they should do it like that, or do it like we thought that they would do it, based off of like how Pokemon do evolve in the overworld, where it's like you throw the Pokemon out and you're like, yo, I want to evolve you. Yeah, they should have did that. Further, that Arceus didn't do, but I wish Arceus did, that I think this game should still do, is they don't let you like physically interact with things enough. Like the people in your world, like I shouldn't have to go into a menu to initiate a trade. I should be able to walk up to freaking Alec and be like, yo, I want to trade, and I select trade on the thing, and then we trade, or battle. Like I shouldn't even, matter of fact, for battling, I shouldn't even have to talk to you. I should be able to throw my Pokemon out and you throw your Pokemon out and we're battling. Like we go to, because there's a lot of different battle stadiums in this video game, which this is a quality of life. This is like a small thing, because I'm definitely going to do, like, I don't know if it's going to be shorts or if I'm going to do like a rapid fire video, but there's a lot of small dumb stuff that I appreciate about this game, where in like Sword and Shield and literally every other Pokemon game, when they start a battle, they start it in the battle stadium and they're in the Pokeball and they stay in the Pokeball. And it's like, what? That's where the Pokemon fight. But in this game, they specifically start talking in the Pokeball and they walk back to the like trainer box and they battle there. So like what I want is for us to be able to go to a battle stadium situation and we walk to the other side of the thing and we throw our Pokemon in the middle of the thing and that starts a battle, rather than having to go to the menu and then blah, 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 blah. Make everything more diegetic. If it doesn't need a menu, it shouldn't be in a menu. And there's very few things that need a menu. And I mean, it could be in a menu optionally. Like it's another way to get to the same place, because I know that there's traditional people that are bad at learning, so they can still go to the thing that they're comfortable with. Some things that this game does in the Arceus kind of way, that's a big W, apart from the stuff that I already talked about, like breeding and stuff like that. They let you like heal your Pokemon automatically in the menu, and it will automatically like do the math for you, where it's like, okay, you need 80 health and this is the health items that you have. This is the most economical way to do this healing from this spot. It does that. When your Pokemon are learning moves, you can ask your Pokemon if they want to learn that move, and they will tell you, yeah, I want to learn that move and I want to delete this one. A lot of times they're dumb and they get it wrong, but it could be like if you're like leaning one way or the other, but you don't know, the Pokemon could, you know, make the decision. Or if you just
I've seen that button. It's the like ask for advice. Is that right, or something?
And the Pokemon is going to be like, the friggin' Chansey wants to forget rest for flamethrower or whatever. But usually it's like, or in my experience, usually it's dumb, where it's like freaking Sprigatito wants to forget Razor Leaf for growl, and I'm like, are you an idiot? Like, absolutely not. So I don't use that feature, but it's neat. Something that I regret when I was playing through the game, and I'll say it to you because I think you'll appreciate this, do not skip the school. Don't skip it. Even though a lot of the stuff you will know. One, I think the writing, Pokemon standards, of course, is pretty good. Two, you will probably actually learn some stuff. So do it for that reason. And three, you get stuff. For finishing. And also, like, if you do it as it unlocks rather than how I did it, it will just be a better experience for you, and it will ultimately feel like it took less time, because I literally yesterday, after having done most of the other like objective, like check off a box things in the video game, I was just like, I'm gonna do school because they have all these exclamation points and I'm just going to do it. And I did that, and all that stuff, which I was like shocked. I wasn't like mad. I was just like, I actually like it a lot, which is another like good small dumb thing that I don't think a lot of people will like actively think about. There's a lot of optional story in this video game, like a lot. Like I went through these like side quest things and these like relationship bit like barracks-esque, like Fire Emblem-y relationship building quest lines, and it took me like 5+ hours of just going through and doing all those things. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of additional content that I didn't ever but didn't know was in this video game. And I think that is like I talk about a lot, the ideal thing for Pokemon is put a lot of different like day in the life things in the game, but make it all optional. every bit of it, like from the helping your best friend evolve their Pokemon to the let's stop Giovanni from taking over the world, make it all optional, but do a lot of those things, you know. What else? Do you got any questions or comments that could maybe bring up something?
I mean,
else?
that's fun that the school is good because
it's literally Fire Emblem. This game is literally Fire Emblem but Pokemon. So like, it's not like as well done in terms of like a story intended to be played for like by adults to some degree, because like Fire Emblem is still like, it's not entirely freaking Game of Thrones or whatever, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But it is more like it doesn't talk down to you as much as Pokemon would, because there is like a lot of stuff in the Pokemon story that's like, be a good person, man. Like Fire Emblem wouldn't like do that in the same way. It doesn't, like Pokemon does like PSA sort of stuff. Fire Emblem doesn't really do that. What else?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot about the game. I played the game a lot. I have pretty much all of my playthrough recorded. And I mean, you'll see it in various slices throughout many videos.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll do this to finish up the Pokemon portion. I'll pull one of the Q&A. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to ask a couple of the Q&A ones, just because we're already talking about it. So here we go. Megman said, why can't I stop playing Pokemon? And good luck with the cast, lads.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't blow up. We're looking good. Facts. I don't know. I can't either.
Yeah.
I played Smash Brothers one time this week. and it was partially against my will. I got hit up. They're like, yo, I'm picking up Pokemon Trainer. Can you teach me how to play Pokemon Trainer? I was like, all right, fine. So I stopped playing Pokemon for like an hour or two.
Yeah.
But I was still kind of playing Pokemon. I was like playing a more fun, mechanically Pokemon game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I still wanted to play Pokemon the whole time.
Yep. Pat asked or said, hi, I'm tired of all the negative discourse on these games. Just looking forward to something positive. I'm glad they get a lot of stuff right. No spoilers, but do each of you have a new favorite?
Yes. Well, not a new favorite. Like Charizard's still my favorite Pokemon, but there's a lot of Pokemon I like. Like this, first of all, I was shocked by the amount of Pokemon in this game. Given the amount of Pokemon that they announced, I was like, damn, there's a lot of new Pokemon in this game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that I like a lot. Like there are very few Pokemon that I'm like, they missed on that one. They're there. There's definitely misses. But not nearly as much as I usually feel like. And by usually, I mean like since Gen 1. Like there's probably like 20 Gen 1 Pokemon that I like a lot, you know? And that's usually the number in like every Pokemon generation. But in this generation, there's probably like 50, 60.
Yeah. I mean, so far from what I've seen, I like a lot of them. I haven't seen that many, so I can't say for sure. But I mean, gotta love ghost swords and stuff. Ceruledge is pretty cool. So TBD on when I actually get it and how I feel in the end. But right now, I think that's a front runner. So we'll see.
Ironically enough, Mega Man, I think, hindered my ability to like that Pokemon because he likes it too much. So I'm like, this Pokemon's not that good. Like,
man, I mean, I just love a good sword, you know? And so
fair enough.
What are you gonna do?
Fair enough. It's because he literally has both of them on his team, and me being Pokemon player that is like trying to minimize the loss. I'm like, why they don't help each other at all? Like, there's no coverage there. They both are fire. And the Ghost and Psychic do not cover each other. They're both weak to dark. You know, like it's just like freaking pick better Pokemon.
I mean, there's
choose
no way
one.
that I'd have
make more than one team
on my team. So
well, you don't like Armarouge? He
I just
likes
don't
both because
care
they're
about-
both Mega Man
Yeah,
characters, basically.
totally. I mean, I get it. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I just don't really care about like blasters and stuff particularly.
Oh, yeah,
Like
true. Not a gun guy. Yeah,
so
I feel it.
that's I'll take it or leave it. But swords, I'm all
For what
for
it's
it.
worth, they're both in the box for me. So
Nice.
I caught them. I evolved it and never used them a single time. But maybe one day,
That is the
I'll
tricky
make a
thing.
team.
I don't know how to handle
Your team,
Pokemon games. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like
Do
I
all
would
of it.
love.
Do all of
Yeah.
it. Make them all.
I think-
So my brother is also playing this video game, and every Pokemon game, this man comes to me and he's like, "Yo, I need all 3 starters. I need a Pikachu, and I need Dratini." And I'm like, "Yo, why do you want 90% of your team to be exactly the same that it is always at all times every game that you play?"
That
Like,
is
what's the
so
point of getting a
funny.
new game if you don't play the new Pokemon? Like, even the starters, which I like the starters. I use 2 of the starters. But like, if they're taking up your whole team and you use one team, which I also think is insane in the year of our Lord
Yeah.
2022, when they give you 5 million experience points if you want.
Right.
It's just like I didn't have a dedicated team, like a team that's like, this is my team, until I absolutely needed it. Like until the freaking Pokemon League, where I'm like, all right, these trainers are like, I can't just roll up to this Pokemon that I just caught 20 minutes ago. So I'm gonna use the ones that leveled up the most and stuff like that, and the balance and all that crap. But for the most part, I was just like, oh, I like this Pokemon. I'm gonna swap it out with this Pokemon that I have on my team that I've been using for a while that's leveled up too high or whatever. Just like Ash does it sometimes. So he's not always like that, but a lot of times he's like, yo, I just caught this Krabby. I want to use this Krabby. I'm going to put my other Pokemon in with Professor Oak or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like the game gives you the ability to very easily do that. Like,
I think the tricky thing for me is what I'll end up doing oftentimes is have my team until each of the Pokemon in it is leveled up, and then as soon as they're leveled up all the way, I'll trade them out for another one that's not leveled up, or not. Sorry, not. I meant to say evolved. Like I'll just basically as I'm going through the game, I'm just trying to like expand my decks all the way and stuff, which like kind of makes sense. But inevitably that also means that I'm not growing like particularly attached to many of the Pokemon on my teams, just because like, yeah, I don't know. So it's an interesting.
that's why
thing.
you
At
should have
least-
a rotation. Because like when I played the game, I didn't like, all right, I'm swapping out this Pokemon and I'm never using it again. It's all right, I'm gonna swap out this Pokemon, I'm gonna use this other one for a little bit and level it up, and then once I get to a place where like I want or need the other Pokemon, I swap that back in, and then I catch another one and it's like, all right, I'll swap this one. It's like rather than having a team of 6 Pokemon, I had like a rotation of like 20. I think
I'll probably end up doing at least have 1, maybe 2 Pokemon that are just always on my team. And
that
then
was
I'll
my
probably
starter.
end up doing,
I literally just my Quaxley. I had that on my team the whole time. For the most part, there's sometimes that I put it away because.
How do you feel about? I mean, no spoilers because I haven't seen any of them. Actually, that's not true. I've kind of seen this Quaxley evolution line because I saw people talking about it, and I was like, I don't have a Quaxley, and Ashley doesn't have a Quaxley, so I'm fine spoiling that one for myself. How do you feel about the evolution starters in general as a whole?
I think Quaxley's evolution, like the final evolution, has the best animation in any Pokemon game ever. It literally has the best one. There's some people that say like I've seen it on 2 different occasions from several people that did not interact and talk about this to my knowledge. But there's some people that like get anxiety looking at his animation, and I think that that's interesting. But I think his animation is incredible because I mean, you said you saw it, right?
I saw the Pokemon. Yeah, I just haven't seen them.
So the lion is a dancer, like that's the theme is like they dance, and he dances and on beat. It's always on beat. That's incredible. I'm like, oh. So I like that a lot. I like the Pokemon a lot. I like the theme a lot because I know leading into the game, everybody was like, he's going to be a conquistador and he's going to be a colonizer duck, and I was like, nah, I doubt that they would do that, especially for the starter, like of all Pokemon. So good to know they didn't do that. I'm not going to talk about exactly what the other ones are because you said you didn't see them, but I like the grass one. I hate the fire one.
Nice.
I'll say that. I hate it. I hate it. I like, and for context for people that don't know, I like all three of the first starters. I like Fuecoco, I like Quaxley, I like Sprigatito. I hate.
How do you think Ashley's gonna feel about the final fire starter?
I feel like Ashley's favorite one would probably be Sprigatito's final evolution.
Okay, that's what I chose.
I think.
I mean, so she already chose Fuecoco.
Oh, I think she might not like it. All right, so I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to talk about because I don't want to bring up Pokemon that are similar. I mean, there are no Pokemon that are similar. But like I don't think she'll like it personally. Like what are her top 3 Pokemon? Let's say that you know of.
Oh yeah. I mean, her favorite in Legends Arceus was she had a Shinx that she evolved into a Luxray, and so she loved the Luxray. Otherwise her favorites, I mean, it's like Togepi and Eevee and stuff.
I don't think she'll like this Pokemon. I don't think she'll like it.
I just looked it up, and
I don't think she'll like it. It's not. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah,
I think
I'm not going to say any words for.
I think it's my new least favorite starter Pokemon of all video games ever. Like ever, because before my least favorite final Evo was Samurott, and part of that was because I liked Oshawott and Duat so much, and it I don't like this. So like in isolation, I probably wouldn't hate it as much as I hate it if it didn't disappoint me. I still wouldn't like it. I still don't think it looks good, but it's added on to the thing that it's I wanted better for this Pokemon. Fuecoco, I didn't really feel like that. I didn't have any particular expectations, but I just think it's that ugly that it usurps the betrayal of Samurott just by being that ugly. I dislike it a lot. But yeah, no, the other two are good. I don't know. I go back and forth with which one I like the most between those two. Because I like the grass one a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah. I still haven't seen the grass one. I'm keeping that for myself.
I think the grass one. I mean, the grass one's great.
I've definitely seen a bunch of concept art kind of stuff that's just so much better looking than what it actually is.
Oh, you're talking about the fire Pokemon?
But the fire one, why?
It's so bad.
They could so easily just have it be something different.
It's so bad, man. It's terrible.
Oof, yeah.
And I'm sure it has great theming, I'm sure that they put a lot of thought into it, but superficially, I think it's hideous. Yeah. Because that's usually the case. There's a lot of Pokemon that aesthetically I didn't like, but then once I figured out the origin and the etymology and all that stuff, I'm like, all right, this Pokemon's pretty cool. This Pokemon is, I don't think that's going to happen for this Pokemon. Mudkip is an example of Pokemon that I after seeing what it was based off of, I was like, that's literally Mudkip. I liked Mudkip more. But I don't. This Pokemon is just. Oof, it's a bad Pokemon.
Yeah, man alive. Weird. All right, a couple more Pokemon questions. Ethan Noir Lucario asked, what legendaries would you like to see get regional variants?
I think it would be cool to see the legendary beasts.
Dogs?
Yeah.
Is that the one you mean from Gen 2?
Yes.
Nice. Me too.
They're dogs, but people are dumb and
they're but they're kind of cats.
Yeah, exactly. That. I mean, they're not dogs, but they're literally they're cats. But people think they're dogs, so they officially the Pokemon Company calls them beasts. So it's legendary beasts, but they are cats though. Entei is a freaking lion,
right?
And Suicune's the least obvious of all of them, but he's supposed to be a leopard, yeah. And then Raiko's a tiger. A saber-tooth tiger specifically.
Yep.
But yeah, damn, I think that would be cool. But I can't really talk about that. I can't really talk about that. because there's something interesting about the legendaries in this game. I'll say that much.
Okay.
It's interesting. And given that information, I don't know which starters would fit the best. I mean, which legendaries would fit the best if they were to do to follow along the logic of this theming.
I mean, I'm guessing. I would I be able to guess pretty easily.
You would
what the
not
theming
be
is?
able to guess it.
Oh,
Guess
okay.
it.
I was
going
gonna guess that it was like future and past theming.
No.
Like, okay.
No, you wouldn't be able to guess it. I promise you. And I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil it.
Sounds good.
But yeah, no. We'll report back once
Indeed.
more people experience what I'm talking about.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, and then really this was the reason I was coming to these, because we were kind of getting close to this topic anyway. But Official Borgia asked, where should Pokemon fans set expectations for DLC/patches, both in terms of how soon and what would be included? Because you kind of started mentioning something about DLC, and I was like, yeah, I'll just go and ask the question.
So patches, I wanted to kind of do what not here and now, because I didn't prepare for that, but I wanted to kind of do what we did before this game came out, and look at how they handled patches with Sword and Shield, because Sword and Shield did get patches. But I don't remember exactly what the cadence was there. As far as DLC, we're probably getting DLC. Like, look at the freaking map.
Yeah.
Like the map, like pretty blatantly is like, this part of the map, that's where we can slide it in DLC. Nice. So we'll get it, and if we're looking at precedent, it's probably going to be announced. It's probably going to be announced in February for Pokemon Day, and then like if they do exactly what they did last time, we'll get it, summerish, yeah, and then the end around the time that the game came out in November. As far as theming, I mean, there's a lot of places that they could go. I can't say any of them. Because I can say one of them, because like that, that's just obvious. Like, obviously they can do past and future, like you go to the past or you go to the future. That's one of them. There's a reason that I think that they should do that one, because if they don't do that one, that would be crazy. But
I mean, and maybe that's the two DLCs, is regardless of what version you got,
you do both.
You go to the past, regardless of what version you got, you go to the future.
That would be interesting. I would be down for that. But yeah, they should do that. And at first I thought, like, just going into this game, I assumed that we wouldn't be able to change Terra types because they got the stagnant Terra things, and then they do the like Charizard raids and stuff like that, where it's like the way that they advertise it is like, there's no other way you can get this Pokemon specifically, but you could change your Terra type, and it's not hard. Like, the internet talks about it like it's hard, but it's dead not hard. Like, if you do raids, you'll be able to change Terra type your Pokemon, because you get Terra raid shards, or you get Terra shards for the different types, and if you get 50 of an individual shard, you can change your Pokemon to that type.
Nice.
I already did it like 4 times, so I don't think it's that hard. And I'm sure I have enough to do. Like, I have enough normal shards, but why would I want to turn my Pokemon to be normal? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's freaking. I mean, I guess like for ghost types, like if I'm super fit. But then I don't want the freaking normal stab. Like, But yeah, I think that, or that's what I initially thought that they were going to do for DLC, like they did with Mega Evolution, but they just speed ran that and just was like, all right, here it is in the video game. It's at the 5th gym. So like, or what is like level wise supposed to be the 5th gym.
I'd be really interested to see what I guess it already exists, but what the competitive scene looks like for Pokemon with Terra raids, and like what.
Well, it doesn't yet. Technically, the first season doesn't start until next month.
But like, obviously people are still like, workshopping stuff and all that kind of stuff, but I'm curious if what kind of broken stuff people are able to create towards the beginning with Terra types and any of that. And
Mhm.
maybe not that much, I don't know. I've never had to do some of that,
I think
but
like
I feel like there's got to be
terrestrializing
something.
is I think terrestrializing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it is like competitively the most like viable while also being balanced thing that they've ever done.
Yeah.
But as far as like the raid thing, like I will say I think there's definitely things that I like more about the Dynamax adventures
Yeah.
and just raids more than I like, because first of all, this is a performance thing that's annoying, is the performance cannot keep up with the raid, like so since it's supposed to be, they marketed it like it was supposed to be real time. I kind of knew it wasn't going to be real time from the jump. It was just they were going to let you pick your moves at the same time, and they would play out as they happen. But like, because of the fact that the game can't keep up and the fact that like everybody can pick their moves whenever, and it's not like, all right, let's wait for everybody to pick their moves, it's like hard to know when you're winning or losing, and sometimes you'll win and it's like, all right, I guess I thought I was about to die. And there's other times where you're losing, you're like, how did that happen? And it's just because like the time, which is effectively your team's health, is not communicated well, given the technical issues with the raid. So it's like, I mean, they're fine, they're fun enough, but they're not as fun as Dynamax adventures to me, or raids yet. I think they had the potential to be if they fix that, and then also like once higher level ones happen, and on top of the fact that like right now, for the most part, like the group that I'm playing with is mostly just min-maxing them because we want the stuff so that we can build better Pokemon to be competent for the higher level raids. But right now, a lot of it is us cheesing it because we just stroll up with the legendary Pokemon, level 100, IV trained, EV trained, all that good stuff, and freaking wreck most things regardless of what type they are. But like it'll be like, mileage may vary, and it will vary for me once I'm like using Pokemon I like care about, and it's not just like, all right, let's steamroll this. It's like, can we beat it with these Pokemon, so this is temporary, I'm sure, but right now I'm like, yeah, they're fine, they're fun, but they could be better.
Curious if that's, I mean, because Dynamax raids, I mean, the Dynamax Adventure was a DLC thing. And that's like, seems like that's the best version of that. So I wonder if DLC for this would have a similar kind of like, give the best version of what Terra raids could be.
I definitely think that whatever the DLC is needs to be something, and not that there's not enough to do, but if they want to like one up themselves, and in this regard, is like give more things to do with other people, because that's what kept Pokemon Sword and Shield as alive as it was for as long as it was, is the fact that people were given incentive to play. Like, there's multiple people in our community that didn't own the DLC before they knew about Dynamax Adventures, and then they bought the DLC for Dynamax Adventures and have played the game more than I played it because of the Dynamax Adventures. I think that it would be huge for them if they did that here too. Granted, I think that there's more, just by nature of the fact that it's open world, there's more reasons to play this game for longer anyway, like regardless of how you play Pokemon. But it would be even bigger for them if they increase the amount of things that you could do with your friends, regardless of their skill level. Because this game, like, going into the game, I already knew that this was going to happen. But, like, Youth was, like, worried because she's like, I'm not good at Pokemon. I never played this game before. You guys have been playing it your whole life. And I'm like, yo, first of all, there's nothing that Pokemon fans that like Pokemon and are not cringe and toxic like doing more than helping other people get into playing Pokemon in the way that they play Pokemon. So that's first of all. Second of all, our community specifically, it's very good at helping people with Pokemon, and like they enjoy the like, oh, I'll help you finish your decks and blah blah blah. So it's not going to bother anybody that you don't know what you're doing. Like, we meme on Mega Man all the time, somebody who has played Pokemon for his whole life, and freaking use Toxic on Ivysaur, like we expect you, we don't expect you to be a Pokemon master or whatever, right? But the way that this game is laid out, and she didn't even do the academy stuff, which I regret not telling her to do, because I think that if she did that, it would be so much like simpler, like for her to like be onboarded onto everything, because there's like things about the game that the academy lessons taught me that I didn't specifically know about the game.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean new stuff, I mean old stuff. Like they like put very specific numbers to things in this game, which I never expected them to do. And they like use very direct terms for things that's like, oh, okay, well, you're just telling us this information. All right, okay. So yeah, like I would say that's another thing. I mentioned it before, but definitely if you're starting this game or you know somebody that's starting this game that's new to Pokemon, do the academy stuff. Do it.
That makes sense.
But yeah.
So there's that. We'll come back to some Q&A later. But speaking of DLC, Mario Kart 8 is getting some DLC. This technically I'm doing these out of order, but
it's true.
It happened. So yes, good Pokemon talks. Many things to say. Just we got two quick other news things. And they are the following. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 DLC, the Wave 3 is coming December 7th, which is in 2 weeks. That's
my brother's birthday.
Hey, look at that. 20 days before your birthday, if I remember right.
Yep, 10 days before my sister's birthday. I mean, 10 days.
Wow,
10 days before hers.
Yeah, mine and my sisters are also 20 days apart, just like you and your brother. What a time.
Wait, how much older is your sister than you?
2 years.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Well, that's almost the same as me. Nice. So that's the same as my sister and my brother, but we're all 2 years and 10 days apart.
Nice, that's fun.
My brother's 2 years and 10 days older than my sister, who was 2 years and 10 days older than me.
Wow.
Strange.
I knew a girl that her birthday was June 15th and her dad and brother's birthday were both June 14th, which is just like, what are the odds?
What are the odds of that? Yeah.
That's just crazy.
It's true.
And what are the odds that, we get such courses as Maple Tree Way in Mario Kart? I mean, that very high. The odds were incredibly high. But yeah, we're getting a bunch of courses, and specifically a bunch that I'm pretty excited about. There's a couple on here that I don't know and therefore don't specifically care about that much yet, but we'll maybe play and really enjoy. But Maple Tree Way is particularly good. Rock Mountain, I like a lot. That's and Peach Gardens I like, and 3DS's Rainbow Road. All of those ones.
Oh, the Rainbow Road's cool. That said, I'm not doing it. Every other Mario Kart, when the DLC dropped, I freaking put on the business hat. I grabbed my briefcase and I streamed it at least one time. I'm not doing that. You're crazy if you think I'm streaming Mario Kart 8 when Pokemon is out and new.
Yeah.
Insane. Absolutely not.
Granted, at this point, Ashley and I, we've played every time a DLC's come out, and we've played a little bit, and then basically I've gone through and gotten gold medals on them or whatever, and then been done until the next one comes out. So I'm looking forward to having them, but it's not like it helps that much in terms of longevity of the game at this point. It's just a tiny little bump nice, this game again. New things to do on it, but that's it. So it's fun. And it's just fun to see courses.
Maybe the next DLC drop, I'll have 2 DLC drops at once.
There you go. Perfect.
Or maybe not perfect. Maybe I'll be double mad. Maybe I'll be super tight.
The tricky thing with Pokemon is that, we haven't had the podcast didn't work the last 2 times, so people don't know. But I got several games for my birthday a month ago, and now I've got Pokemon that I'll probably be playing instead. And I'll play those games eventually, but
it's true,
And similarly, there's a bunch of games on the eShop that are on sale and stuff, and I'm kind of interested in that, and just buying them or something like that. but I'm not going to be playing them for a million years. So why would I at the same time? You know,
I mean,
and it's
you play them when you play them. It's not, you're not getting clocked for it.
You're not wrong. Yeah. I might pick up a couple of the ones that are like particularly cheap, but then otherwise it's like, I mean, games that go on sale. You can also see, the games that go on sale pretty often, I don't have to worry that they're not going to go on sale again. So it's the ones where it's like, this has been on sale twice ever. Like I've been latently interested in Owlboy for a really long time. But it was always just a little bit more than I wanted to pay for it. And it was on sale. Instead of $25, it was $10. And that was like the cheapest it had ever been. And I just didn't get it. And that one's probably not going to go back to that for a bit, but maybe will. So there's ones like that where like I should probably pay a little bit more attention to it. But otherwise, games. It is what it is. All that to say, yeah, that's Mario Kart DLC. It is what it is. But we, if we're not playing Mario Kart DLC, maybe we'll be playing Kid Icarus on Switch.
That would be a W. That's a great game. That is unfortunately tied to the 3DS. But I mean, if this happens, it won't be, and that would be sick. Yeah, I like that game a lot, particularly for the multiplayer. The multiplayer is really cool, but the single player is also cool. It's fine. I wonder if they would do more, like if they add more weapons or add more story content, or if it's literally just here's this game with better graphics and significantly better controls. Have at it. And I think, I mean, for what it's worth, I think that game could sell pretty well. Not crazy, like I think the original probably was like somewhere in the like mid like six figures range, or like at most like $1 million. I think on Switch you could do like Kirby numbers, like three, a soft three.
1.36 million. So yeah, a little over $1 million.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a launch game roughly.
Even with that, like the game was sitting at 250,000 units for a long time.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes the games that come out early in the life cycle, that's a great thing because they have that much more time. Sometimes it means that that's one that just
get buried.
Yeah. Like by the time everybody has the console, and like 3DS was kind of a slow start anyway, and all that stuff. So like by the time people had it, I think it just probably was a game that not a lot of people were going back to comparatively to
because a lot of people I think the going sentiment was like, this game's really, really good, but the controls are bad. So people didn't feel the need to pick it up because it was like, all right, well, hopefully it comes to Wii U or Switch or and then I'll play it. But maybe it comes now. That'd be cool.
Yeah, this is the time to find out. But yeah, the whole thing came up just because Sakurai on his YouTube channel, that I agree still needs to have English dubs, because
it's true. Yeah, because you have to actively like super pay attention to it,
like fix your eyes on the screen.
Yeah, like
which is I don't have time for that, even for the 4 minutes that it is.
Yeah, just dub it, man, because it turns a video that's for like, if you're like us, right, and you're like trying to like actually consume all of the information, like like stuff like the Smash Brothers one that he did, right, they showed like spec sheets and like planning documents. And I'm like, oh, I want to read that. Like, what's friggin'? This is how they planned this cutscene and how they did framing and stuff. I want to read that. So, like, not only am I pausing to be like, oh, I missed that part of the subtitles. Now I got to go and look at the thing and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the time I could be using to read that. If I can just listen to the thing that he's saying rather than having to focus on the friggin' subtitles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I really wish they did it Nintendo Direct style. And like dubbed it over his VO so that we can understand without having to read it, so that we can consume the visual information on the screen.
Yeah. But so the thing that he said about this was in the context of other things he was already saying. He said it sure would be nice to play Kid Icarus Uprising, and obviously for those who don't know, he developed Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS. So there's that. Sure would be nice to play Kid Icarus Uprising on a home console. I wonder if someone out there will ever port it. Smile.
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
So,
and
hopefully
he knows how his fans are.
Oh my goodness!
So
yes,
there's no shot that there's no shot of it, right? He very intentionally, and he said this blatantly, that he would like very intentionally not post things because he's like that could be misconstrued as like Smash Brothers character confirmed. Like even now, even though like it's like a meme, he like posted a picture like of a Japanese marketing for Disney Plus or something, and people started retweeting it as like if he was confirming Smash Brothers DLC or something.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god,
Kingdom Hearts something. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, no. Hopefully that happens because that'd be cool. I would play that.
Hopefully it does. But yeah, that's all the other news we got for today. And then honestly, games we're playing, we've basically already talked about, so we can just skip that.
Pokemon,
and then
I play Pokemon a little bit, and then Q&A.
Yeah, otherwise I'm
Smash
playing,
Brothers a little bit.
That's true, right? I downloaded Peggle on my phone.
Is that or was this longer than that? I don't remember, because I remember seeing something about this Peggle, why is Peggle not on Switch or something like that. You said that.
Yeah, I was like, it was the other way around. I mean,
so you thought that, and you were, so it's not because you're playing it. Was it because you were playing it now, and you're like, why is this? Okay,
I was like, why is Peggle not on Switch? And I was like,
and then you found it on mobile.
It's on mobile, and then I was like, yeah, I'll just play it on here. And it's very much a mobile version of Peggle where,
I shouldn't have changed the screen to freaking the Q&A because
too late. It's all right.
It's already there. But freaking I did download the Marvel Snap. It exists. It's fine. You know, like it's there. Carry on.
There it is.
Because I see everybody be like, "This is the best game," and I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll check it out." And I'm like, "It's fine." It's all right.
I'm not gonna download it because I think
I think
it would get
you would like it a lot, but it's fine. It's like it's not. It's a good area for me where it's not 2-card gamey, because like 2-card gamey, unless you got me early like Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm not doing that. But it's like there's interesting enough like rules and mechanics to the game where it's like there's different areas, and the whole thing is like it's what area will it be, and each area does a different thing, and then you have the risk reward of like, okay, well this area does that, and I already know what the area does, and either it does something that's advantageous to me or my opponent, so I do or don't want to put it there. But what if I put it somewhere that I don't know what the area is? I might get something good there, or maybe something bad will happen to my opponent if they put it there. And like, but what if they put one in the same area that I put it, because they think that I'm going to put it there, and they have a card that if they put their card in the same place that I put my card gets destroyed or weakened, or right? So like that whole like push and pull is interesting, but that's about it, you know. It's like it's neat. But it's not like I see a lot of people being like, this is a game of the year. And I'm like, all right. Okay, people. Let's calm down a skosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's all right.
Nice. All right, now we got 2 last questions from Discord. Let asked, would you rather have an enhanced port of Kid Icarus Uprising or a sequel? I'd be thrilled to get either. I just hope if we get either, it's given the chance it deserves to shine.
I mean, depends on how enhanced the port is. Because like I'm down to just get the game again. I haven't played that game in like 10 years. So I'm down. Just give me the game again. But also, I would be down for a sequel too. I think that a sequel would be less smart for them though.
Yes, that's agreed. Yeah. I feel like doing the port makes more sense in that they can save a lot more money comparatively
and
than
not
making
even
a new
that.
game.
That's not even the first thing for me. It's like because why make a sequel to a game that freaking 100
Right.
million people that on your platform have not played?
Right. And so to me, it's just like I want them to give themselves the best odds possible of success and like just therefore have the least risk possible. Then
Right,
they'll be happy with it and then be more likely to make a
and then
sequel
make
after that.
more.
And
Right.
there will be the foundation for that, as opposed to if they just go in with a sequel nobody's ever played. I mean, not nobody's ever played, but a ton of people haven't gotten a chance to play the original and stuff like that. It just feels like the safer move is also the move that has the more potential longevity
Right.
for the franchise, and that's good. So yeah, the port. Last question.
Yes.
Chronically Cal asked, if they made a Pokemon game based on where you live, what's something you'd want them to use as an inspiration besides what they used in Black and White, of course?
I mean, they kind of already did that. And like all the like interesting things in the like in my proximity, I guess like put the Liberty Bell or something. I don't know.
I was
Freaking
gonna
Rocky
say
Steps. It's like I don't know, but freaking America's, I mean, not that interesting. Granted, I mean, like they didn't do like America like they could have did America. Like they just did New York and it's like randomly like a Las Vegas desert or something.
Yeah.
They could have did more than that because like just by virtue of how big America is. There's a lot of variation there. Like they could have literally just did LA. Like they could have just, or not LA, but like California. They could have just literally did California and it would have been a full like Pokemon region experience naturally. They could have had the tundra and like freaking deserts and like everything. All of the things. But I'd rather them do like Africa. I think Africa would be way better. But
if they,
I hope they don't do it in a cursed way because that's also possible for them to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But they've done a good job with the last few regions, anecdotally, as somebody that culturally is not as familiar. But
right. Yeah. If they did a Pokemon game based on where I live, something that I want them to use inspiration, not physical objects, but I think just like it's the South, so just poke fun at like all the annoying things about the South. Where like, if you're at somebody's house and you try to leave, be prepared to have to try to leave for about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
and those kinds of things, which are just funny little things that I've learned to accept or whatever. But like, yeah, Southern goodbyes. That's a silly thing to me. So all of a sudden, the game is just.
Have you ever not lived in the South? Like, I know you used to live in Virginia, which is like,
I mean,
the South,
when
but
I was
not
in France and Belgium and stuff.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean like America specifically.
I mean, where I was in Virginia is kind of borderline. Like,
that's what I was saying. Like, Virginia
weird.
is like sort of like you be on one part of in Virginia, and it's like more like East Coast kind of like vibes, and then like the other part of Virginia is just like you might as well freaking be in Florida.
Right.
It's like, but yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I know obviously you lived in Europe. But I mean, like, as far as your exposure to America, have you ever lived in somewhere that wasn't?
I mean, it's Virginia for 1 year when I was born, 2 years in middle school, and then Tennessee from college onwards. So, yeah. So basically, just in the South.
It makes sense
for a lot of that. Yeah, it is. But it is interesting. Just like I remember finding out just how many things were culturally different that I wouldn't have expected to be culturally different. Because like just the concept, the one that stands out to me the most is always the concept of visiting as opposed to, I don't know, like going to see somebody or spending time with someone or hanging out or whatever, where it's kind of just you're just around each other, but not necessarily, it's less quality time and more quantity time where you're just there in each other's presence. Doing something.
In the South specifically? What do you mean? I don't know.
Like, I mean, like maybe talking, but it's almost like,
like for the
hours
South,
of small talk kind of thing.
Okay. Oh, and you're talking about specifically for the South, like that's what the South does.
I mean, to me, at least my experience,
Mhm.
that's the South, but it could be
Mhm.
also that's just like
That makes sense.
American thing in
I was
general.
trying
But
to, get it straight because I was like, I don't know.
yeah,
Because like at least in my experience, it's like it's
Mhm.
very like here. Because
Mhm.
I lived in Florida for freaking 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
That's Southie. That's as Southie as you're gonna get.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
mean, other than freaking Texas, but
Mhm.
it's Texas.
Yeah.
It's definitely more like we're here for this reason and we're doing this thing.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
like in like the Northeast.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Exactly.
and like people hang out and stuff, but like
Mhm.
it's a lot more rare to be like, you want to come to my house to just like be at my house?
Right. So yeah, that was the thing exactly that I had to kind of like learn, and I didn't realize how much I'd gotten used to it until my sister came and visited, and then we went to my in-laws house, and I could like I realized towards after several hours how like uptight and uncomfortable she was feeling, and I didn't really know why, and then I realized that it was because, oh, I'd just gotten used to what it meant to just
Just
visit, just kind
exist.
of be
Yeah.
there and like
Yeah.
have small talk, do sorts, things, but not necessarily like have deep conversation and have,
Yeah.
like whatever. Whereas that's like her whole
I
thing totally.
yeah.
So it's just
I
a
literally
really
never thought about that, but
Mhm.
that's probably a big reason why I hate small talk. I can't stand it. Like
Yeah.
I'm so bad with that with like texting. Cause like there's
Hmm.
just a
Yeah.
lot of people that like will like just like, and I don't mean this necessarily in a negative way. It's probably going to sound negative, but like they just
Hmm.
want to talk, and I don't really
Hmm.
just want to talk just to talk. Like if we're
Yeah.
talking about something, like it doesn't have to be like a thing that like it doesn't. It's not like a like okay, like what have you done for me lately sort of thing, but just
Yeah.
like
Right.
let's move the conversation somewhere that's not just like, so how's the day,
Hmm.
how's your day. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? What do you want to talk about? Let's
Yeah.
talk about a thing, or like tell me a specific thing, or I'll tell you a specific thing and we can talk about that. But the general
Hmm.
like, so how's the weather, how's your mom, like
Right.
that sort of stuff is like, yeah, if we're gonna like ask the same question every time we talk, I'll
Yeah.
let you know if it's different. Like, because if it's the same, it's the same.
Yeah.
um that could be why, is like that cultural like
Hmm.
divide of like being so used to like my like interactions with people being so like action oriented, of like we're here and we're
Yeah.
doing this and that's what it's going to be, not like we're here and like if it happens it happens and we're just hanging out. But I mean
Yeah.
at the same time I'm kind of like that, and whether or not I do hang out, like in that in between, like I'm not the type of person that like I'm always looking for something to do, but I'm always
Hmm.
down to do whatever. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like when people ask me like, so what you going to do today outside of stuff for this, it's like I don't know. Depends on if somebody hits me up and is like, yo, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Or yo, I'm going to do this, and I'm like, all right, bet, let's do that. So
Hmm.
I don't know, somewhere in the middle, I guess.
Yep. Makes sense. And with that, I think the thing that we're going to do is end the podcast.
Hmm. It's true. Hopefully they let me click end and it saves. You'll know if it happens, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good things. Check out the channels and check out the podcast service. Okay. Also Patreon. Go to that. Later.